agenda. So we're ready to go there. So before we actually start the meeting tonight, I'd like to announce the passing of our good friend and colleague, Michael Wayham. Mike has been a member of this commission for longer than I have, probably upwards of 20 years, and has always been devoted and attentive and very special member of the commission. He's going to be missed greatly. Mike was a lawyer here in town. I've known him for practice for 50 years. Here in Norwich, he was a veteran, served in the Army, Vietnam. It's a great loss to the city of Norwich for this commission. We can have it. And along similar lines, I don't think we need a moment of silence yet, but I'd like to mention that our commission member, Les King, is very ill and in hospice, as I understand it. That being said,
You made me cry before the meeting.
that being said, we do have a quorum tonight. We have Ella Miles, Kathy Zika, myself, and Mason, the alternate, but we can see them as a member tonight. So we do have a quorum, and I guess our first order of business should be for an approval of the minutes from the May 16th meeting. If somebody wants to make a motion to do that.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Ella. So we have a motion. Can we have a second? Second. Okay, so the motion has been made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Okay, so those minutes are accepted. Do we have any communications, Deanna?
No, nothing stuck. Well, no, we'll do it under other business.
Okay. And is there any old business to take up? I see none on the agenda. Okay, so under new business, we have public hearings and potential action. The first matter is special permit 23-05 685 New London Turnpike. It's a request for a special permit for replacement of an existing golf cart pedestrian bridge over Trading Brook Cove, located within a FEMA designated floodway. It's the property of the city of Norwich, excuse me. And the application is from the Norwich Golf Authority. It's on Assessor's Map 128, Block 1, Lot 1. It's zone ROS. So is there somebody here to speak on this application while it's open the public hearing? Can we have a motion to do that?
I'll make that motion.
Motion and second by Dean to open the public hearing. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we have the public hearing is now open. So is there somebody here to speak in connection with this application?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Could you
Okay.
identify yourself for the record, please?
I'm Ellen Bartlett. I'm with Green Site Design. We're located at 317 Main Street in Norwich. And I'm representing the Norwich Golf Course, which is owned and operated by the city of Norwich. However, a good part of the golf course is in the town of Montville and the rest is in Norwich. Trading Cove Brook meanders through the middle of the golf course, and the center line of the brook is the town line. So can I?
Think you're muted at the moment, Owen.
Is that better?
Yes. Did you need to bring the your documents up on the screen?
Yes, can I do that?
You can share if you want, or I can bring them up for you if you need to.
You want to share your whatever you want on the screen, or you want
Okay.
Dan to bring it up?
Can you see? I'd I can share it. It's up, mine is up on my screen. Can you see it?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Let me try again. You can't see my screen?
No, no, Dan, can you bring it up?
Yeah, sheet 2, Dan, if you would.
Can you see our screen, Ellen?
Yes, okay, this is sheet 1, which the yellow line is the center line of Trading Cove Brook approximately. The green line is the floodplain, the 100-year floodplain. See, there's an existing bridge that crosses Trading Cove Brook between the 10th tee and the 9th green. And there's been a bridge in this location since 1920 when the golf course got up and going. But the bridge that's there now is very much in need of replacement. It's structurally inadequate and it's really become a safety issue. Could we go to the next sheet, sheet 2?
Is that the sheet you wanted to look at, Ellen?
I want to go to the next sheet. This is sheet 1. I'd like to see sheet 2 if possible.
Okay, can you see our screen? Because there's a different map up there now than was there just a moment ago. This shows a overhead, what's it say?
That's sheet 3.
Oh, sheet
Of
3.
So I thought we were on sheet 2 previously
Oh,
with the aerial.
Okay. Yeah, this is. But I want to go to the next sheet that shows the plan and profile. I can't see it, but if you guys can see it, that's fine.
Oh, yeah, it looks like they're on 3 of 3.
Okay, so you can see the profile, which shows the existing bridge in dashed lines. There we go. Now I can see it. All right, can we scroll down to the profile? Yeah, if you look at the profile, you can see that the dashed lines are the existing bridge that's there right now. And you'll see the bridge is supported by 8 4x4s that actually sit in 5-gallon buckets full of concrete right in the stream. That's what's holding the bridge up. So it's really in rough shape and it needs to be replaced. It's been washed away several times and put back into place. So this project proposes to replace the existing timber bridge with a pre-constructed steel bridge that would be a clear span. So it would be eliminating all these posts in 5-gallon buckets. They'd be gone and it would be a clear span over the brook. The bridge would be the same size as the bridge that's there now. It would be in the same location. And it also would be prefabricated abutments that could be put in a day and a half. Both would be put in a total of a day and a half. So it's a very quick construction. The bridge is necessary due to the structural inadequacy, the public safety concerns, and the new clear span bridge over the brook will provide improvements to the brook stream flow by eliminating all these existing obstructions. Even on a good day, branches get caught on it. In a storm, branches, debris, everything gets caught up on these 4x4 posts that stick down there and really cause a backup sometimes. We did a complete hydraulic analysis of Trading Cove Brook using the HEC-RAS. And what we looked at first is if there's no bridge there at all, we analyzed the entire Trading Cove Brook, and then we did a second analysis with the existing bridge. And there was, it's the difference in height of the elevation of the flows during the 100-year storm was not measurable. It's less than 1/8 of an inch would be the difference. The new clear span bridge over the brook will provide improvements to the stream flow by removing all those existing obstructions in the channel. So we've taken this project to the Montville Inland Wetlands Commission and the Norwich Inland Wetlands Commission and have received approval from both commissions. We submitted the project to the Army Corps of Engineers and we've received a determination of no impact, which they don't, for this level of project, they don't give you a permit. They just decide that there's no impact and you're done. So we have all necessary approvals, except from this commission. So this is kind of our last step. And if this goes forward, we'll be putting this out to bid as soon as possible and get this bridge replaced because it's really in pretty poor shape. I do have some pictures of it if you'd be interested in seeing those. Dan,
Sure.
if you could bring those up. This is a aerial photo from 1934 that shows the bridge. It was there then, it was there in the 20s. And then the next picture. There we go, a little bit higher. All right, this is taken from upstream, looking down at the bridge. And you can see this isn't during a storm, but you can see there's branches, there's debris caught up on these obstructions. It's in rough shape. I just really think this needs to be replaced as soon as possible before there's an incident, either during normal use or during a storm when the bridge washes away. We do have more pictures. This is a picture from downstream looking up towards the bridge. And again, you can see 4x4s, you can see the concrete buckets. The water's kind of to the top of them. But there's 2 concrete abutments that hold it in place, and we're going to put new abutments in the same place. So it's going to be the same bridge, same size, same location, only steel, prefabricated bridge with clear span. Any questions at this point, or?
What is the flood elevation in that area, and how much higher is the bottom of the bridge from the flood elevation?
It's elevation 20, a little above 26. It's right about at the top of the abutment on the high side is the elevation. So
Okay,
during a 100-year storm, the entire bridge would be underwater,
still
but it
not.
won't go anywhere. And it's narrow and it's just gonna, water's gonna flow around it. And it really doesn't impact the stream. It's gonna flow right under it and over it.
Okay, and the application says it's a floodway. Is it a
Yeah,
floodway?
it's in the.
It is
flood-
also in the floodway.
So do you have to get approval from DEP?
We submitted to them. They did not even respond. We
Oh.
submitted to Army Corps, and Army Corps actually submits to DEP at the same time that they make their determination. Nobody really had any comments, except that they agreed that there was no impact.
The commission normally doesn't approve too much that's in the floodway without a study, but because it's a replacement of something that's there and it's a better situation. And our city engineer reviewed it and felt the same way. So,
Yeah.
so it was special flood hazard and the floodway considerations.
Okay, anybody else have any questions? There, anybody else who wants to speak in favor of the application? Anybody who wants to speak in favor of the application? Going for a third time, is there anybody who wants to speak in opposition to this application? Anybody in opposition? Okay, hearing none, do we have any information to add to the record?
Absolutely. So I have a list of exhibits. Oh, Dan, it's available, so I don't have to read anything in. So these are the things I'm adding into the record, the list of exhibits. Again, I mentioned that the city engineer had no issues with it. I do have a memo that I created for the commission. And it pretty much reiterates everything that Ellen said. in Montville did approve it, and wetlands, our wetlands commission did. As of the date of my memo, they hadn't reviewed it yet. Ellen, is there any new signage or lighting that's gonna be installed as part of this project for the bridge?
No, there's no lighting there now. There's no signs in the floodplain, and we're not proposing any.
All right, and then I don't know if you had provided, I didn't see it in here, a cost for erosion and sediment control bond, so we will need that from you if you've not provided that.
Oh, you know what? I submitted it to wetlands. I don't know that I
Okay,
uploaded it.
that's fine. If the wetlands commission had it had that as a condition for the bond, we're covered there anyways. So my conditions are pretty much the standard conditions in my memo. Type 7.
Gonna take a moment to switch back to your memo, so if you
Oh,
just
okay.
wanna, this is the exhibit list.
Okay, so this is the exhibit list, so, you know, just putting it up here for the public to see. These are the items, if anyone has any question about anything that's on there. So it'll just be a second for my memo.
So I have a question. If, the cost estimate, since this is a town property, they still have to post a bond?
Well, sometimes we've had the contractors post the bond, sometimes,
Yeah.
not always. So it's wetlands, I don't know if they just, so they decided not to do it. So the wetlands decided against it, that we don't need to.
Even if you just have to make sure that the contractor is
Yes.
insured, I mean,
Yes.
but I don't,
Yeah. Yep, so that's,
Good point.
yeah.
nope, no,
no problem.
that's valid. See if there's anything else in here. Pretty much the standard, standard memo. Site plan would be, you know, expire in 5 years, that we need the site plans, all the letters of approval on here. If anything changes, to let us know, kind of thing, so. So would be, if you were referring to it, would be that number 7 of my memo, the conditions that are in number 7, the memo.
And I noticed in the documents on the website that the special permit conditions were addressed by the applicant.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
seem to have been met. Do you have any comments on that? Deanna?
Nope, I think that, like I said, Ellen had, you know, the application was pretty thorough. And so this was not one that I had to do a lot of review on, and pretty much it was an engineering review anyway, so it was pretty simple. So. But that's, oh, and the notifications were mailed up in time, and I do have this certified receipts back, so. we're good to go on that.
Anybody else have any comments or questions before we close the public hearing? Okay, hearing none, can we get a motion to close the public hearing? Open the vote.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye, so the motion carries, public hearing is closed. Does somebody want to make a motion in connection with the application?
I'll make a motion to approve the application but there aren't any conditions.
They're just the standard conditions of
Standard,
number 7 of my memo,
Okay,
and then
very
those are the reasons stated.
I'll make that motion.
So we have a motion by Kathy to approve the application with the standard conditions as set out in Deanna's memo. Can we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ella. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And that's unanimous, so the motion carries, the application is approved. All right, thank you, Ms. Bartlett. Good, so. One down. Second matter is special permit number 23-06, 1 Thames Street. It's a request for a special permit to install 3 6-foot wireless cellular service antennas and 3 radios on the rooftop of the building property of American Group Realty LLC. The application of Megan Beausoleil, Qualtech Wireless, Assessor's Map 101, Block 1, Lot 37, Zone GC. And I've got to say, I need to recuse myself from voting on this. I'll conduct-
Three,
Okay.
yep.
There's still three other members.
Yeah.
I think I can conduct a hearing, but I'm not gonna comment or vote because Michael Aliano is the owner and our office has represented Michael on many matters over. So, unless Kathy, you want to run the meeting?
Up to you, Frank. Do
Go
you feel
ahead.
comfortable?
Yeah, you go ahead and do it.
All right. Okay, so, I'd like to, we have a legal notice that.
Yeah.
we read. Okay,
Here is, it's on the agenda too, but
Okay.
just request for it.
okay, so, special permit 23-06. One thing, street request for a special permit to install 6-foot wireless cellular service antennas and 3 radio on top of a roof of a building, property of American Group LLC, applicant of Megan Beausoleil, Vortex
Qualtech.
Wireless, assessor map 101, block 1, lot 37, G, zone is GC, and that was published on.
The legal notice was published.
Oh, okay, well, never mind, that's all right.
No, it was published, it was published in the time frame that it needed to be.
Okay.
Should be right there.
Yeah, it's in here somewhere.
777 and
Oh.
714.
Thank you.
Okay, okay, thank you. And I'd like to take, if there's anyone that can make a motion to open the public hearing.
Make a motion to open the public.
Seconded.
And I'll second.
Okay,
Thank you.
very good. Do you want to add things into the record first, or do you want me to just ask the applicant to make their presentation? Okay,
That's fine.
go ahead and make your presentation.
Hi, everybody. My name is Megan Beausoleil. I work for Qualtech Wireless, but I do represent Dish Wireless, who's going to be the carrier on the rooftop of this property. So they are proposing to, so Dish Wireless is a newer wireless carrier. So like your AT&Ts and your Verizons, they are coming in and they're trying to expand their cell phone network in the Norwich area. So they are going to be installing, or they'd like to install 3 antennas on the rooftop of 1 Thames Street, as well as various equipment to connect the antennas on the rooftop and then on the basement of that property to get cell phone service in that area. So they are proposing to put the antennas on the rooftop, and I can share my screen and show you what is going to look like. Give me 1 second. Okay, can you see my screen?
Nope. Now.
Absolutely, yep.
Okay, perfect. So this is what's gonna look like from this point of view. Let me show you here. So this is the antennas. They're gonna be, they say this like a rad center, which is the center of the antenna, is gonna be 64.9 feet. Roughly the top is about 67.9. This is on a tripod on the top. So there'll be 3 antennas in this general area. Sometimes you'll see antennas on, this is an existing carrier that you already have approved. I'm not sure who this is, if it's T-Mobile or AT&T, but they are, you know, outside of the building where Dish would like to just put them all together in 1 tripod to get service in the 360 all around this area. And then they are going to be putting they're going to be pulling the power through the building, through the various, what is it called? The ceilings, all the way to the basement where they will set up their equipment. It's about a 5x7 area that they are leasing. They'd like to lease, and the equipment it looks like a small refrigerator in this area, and that's where the power will come from. And then they'll pull fiber as well. So it's a pretty small leasing space, and that's what they're looking to do to increase the cell phone service in that area. So that is the basic, the plan. And, you know, construction takes about 2 to 3 weeks. And, you know, they're looking to get the permits in place so they can start building sooner than later. So, anybody have any questions?
So, I'm gonna go over my stuff and then you
Yeah.
can ask the public if they have any questions.
Sure.
Okay, so, my memo, Dan wants to call it up. It was forwarded to relevant departments. I got no comments. I can quickly run through it. The proposed upgrades will protrude over the height of the existing rooftop, but don't appear to result in some kind of visual impact to the neighborhood. The applicant submitted their acceptable responses to the special permit requirement. There's no site improvements with the proposal, so there's no bond required. So after the special permit, if it is issued, they need to follow the requirements that we have for the filing, the bylars and things. I mean, they showed proof, they provided today that I got them in the mail, the proof that the abutting notifications were sent to the abutters. And then there's decision criteria and special permit that reasons always about. And then the conditions are pretty standard, the 5-year site plan, and then the signature block going on a new sheet, cover sheet, basically. And then the usual standard conditions that we have. So, and those are number 8 of my memo, but I didn't find anything that was not compliant with our zoning regulations for the special permit. We do have a list of exhibits. There's 10 exhibits that, like I said, the transmittal, the narrative, the special permit questions, the letter of authorization to go for the permit. So there's 10 of those, and those I'd like to enter into the record. Otherwise, I have nothing else for you this evening.
Just a quick question. I know that this is a little different than usual.
Yes.
It's not a
A cell tower.
standalone, right? But would we need like a bond to be sure that when they remove it, when it's not usable, they remove it, or?
I don't think so. 'Cause it's a little different because it's on a
Yeah.
building than it's a freestanding structure, because the bond is really the removal of the tower
Tower,
itself.
right,
Yeah,
right.
so I would say no.
No, it's whatever you want to do.
No,
Yeah.
I would say no, because it's,
Probably had 6 or 7.
yeah. So the only one that we had that was a tower was a long time ago. The other one that was a tower is it for the city one, the
Yeah.
fire, police department did, and that one municipal, so we didn't
Yeah.
require that.
All
so.
right.
These are very similar to the ones they put on main campus, the back of hospital.
Correct.
Mhm.
But you were,
And we've done them at Blackledge and some Blackledge departments. There's been a few of them recently.
All right.
But that's it, so.
Okay, that's it. Okay, anyone like to speak in favor of this application? Anyone like to speak in favor? No? Anyone like to speak in opposition? No? Okay, otherwise, any questions by the commission?
no,
I'm gonna ask you something after this. Okay, then I would like to take a motion to close the public hearing.
make a motion to close the public hearing.
Seconded, anybody? Ella? Ella? You there?
Yes, I made the motion to second.
Okay, thank you. All right, then I close the public hearing. And now I would like to ask for a motion to act on this.
Make a motion to act on this with memo included,
Approve it. Approve it,
to approve.
approve it, okay. Ella,
And I'll second that motion.
okay. Is everyone in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, then the application is approved. With,
Thank you.
with the conditions, right?
Yep.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Kathy.
you.
No, wait, he sold that, right? So.
He
why
sold the
would-
business. He
But he
still
still
owns
owns the
property.
building. Oh, okay, no problem,
Yeah, if you look on the documents.
Okay.
Michael signed.
All right.
on it.
no problem. All right.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to recuse myself.
Okay.
So everything looks good.
I got it. Cut that out. Well, halfway.
Okay, so that being done, the next matter is not a public hearing. Is that a public hearing?
No.
No.
Nope.
It's MVLA. I don't know what that stands for.
Motor vehicle location approval.
All right. You gotta write that out for me.
I was guessing.
This is number 23-03, 420 West Thames Street, also known as 390 through 420 West Thames Street. The DMV K7 location approval in accordance with zoning regulations, section 6.3. It's the application of Renard Daily, DBA, D&D Complete Transmission and Auto Repair, property of Trinicap Properties 8 LLC. It's assessor's map 124, block 2, lots 25, zone GC. So what can you tell us?
I don't know if there's anyone here for this application. And if you are, if you would state your name for the record and your address.
Yes, my name is Renard Daly. Good evening, everyone.
And good evening,
Renard
sir.
Daly.
Why don't you come on up here and so we can hear you better?
Good evening,
Easy.
everyone.
You may
My
get-
name is Renard Daly. I'm the owner of the Transmission and Auto Repair, the Bridge of the Sea. I am currently living at 25 England Avenue in Waterbury, Connecticut, and we're sticking to business here to Trinidad, Thames Street, Norwich, Connecticut. Any questions for me?
So what kind of business are you? Are you doing repairs there? I forgot exactly what.
Yes, we will be doing repairs, automotive repair,
Okay,
specialized in transmission,
transmission.
right?
Okay,
Body works.
and no sales,
No
sales
sales.
of vehicles. Okay, good.
So it's already,
What's there now?
So it used to be,
It was Blue Ribbon Pontiac
oh,
forever ago.
okay.
And then
Across from Talby's?
yes, and then Enterprise is renting half the building, and this is the other
Yes.
half of the building they would be in there.
Okay.
Correct.
And so this is a certificate of location.
Patient approval, yeah.
So did they change it back,
So
or is it because Norwich is a,
it's in our regulations to do
Okay,
it, and it's
okay.
still kind of funky, you know,
Yeah.
statutorily, so we're just following our
Alright,
regulations at this point. So I just have a quick memo, and which is that, Dan wants to call it up here, I just finished it today because I was talking to Rich Shook, the zoning agent. So you need to determine whether the location is appropriate for motor vehicle repair. It had been a long time ago, but the issue is when you change ownership, it's supposed to come back for K7 when it's a new tenant going in there. So if I pass it down to my child or something within the LLC, it doesn't need to come back. But once it's a new one, it needs to come back. So that's why we're here, but we obviously know that that was used a long time ago that way. So I just went really quickly through these. In 6.3.1, the certificate of location approval, it talks about no certificate shall be issued unless the commission finds the location is suitable for the use intended and such location will not imperil the safety of the public. So number one was compliant, verified by the CEO. There's no new garages for the repair of motor vehicles as a primary activity shall be erected nearer than any building or lot used for such purposes for any part of a lot within 1,000 feet on a straight line measurement. The nearest portion of any lot used or proposed to be within stated purposes. So Rich Shook looked at this and it is over 1,000 feet. So it is compliant with that. There's no gasoline pumps or filling, so that's not applicable. Basically, the next is a representation of fraud because you're acting on behalf of the state. And then there was a fee that was already paid, the $300. Richard Shook, the CEO, is requesting that the applicant provide a site plan that's sufficient to meet the requirements of the DMV K93 form, which is the form that they're required to meet anyways. So he'd like it to be a stipulation because what happens is a lot of times after the fact, the site plan, the little site drawing is not sufficient. So Rich wants to make sure that it's sufficient to meet the requirements for him to sign off. So otherwise, there is no issues. The location is suitable for the use intended. It's not going to interfere with the safety of the public at all. And that just the site drawing must be submitted to the CEO that meets the criteria of that K93. And that is it.
and it's really been used for,
Yeah, it's just
Do you have
a
any-
change of ownership, really.
So there was some issues in the past when Enterprise went in, they striped only part of the parking lot because they were like, well, we're only gonna do our part, we're not gonna do the rest. So I think the applicant is aware that some additional striping needs to happen in the parking lot there, and Trinicap is the owner of the property, he's aware of it too, so that that can be addressed, because it was supposed to be all done at the same time, but I guess Enterprise was paying for it, so they only paid for their striping. I don't know if you're familiar with this situation.
To a point, yes, I do have some understanding of what should be done there. From what I understand, Trinicap.
Yes.
Yes, also, I believe that they are the ones who will be taking care of that.
And I think he agreed that he would too.
He would, yes.
So that's the owner.
That's the owner of the
owner,
property.
yes.
And you're leasing property.
That is correct.
He took, the Trinicap bought it after Enterprise, I think, was already there, if I'm correct, because I think it was a previous owner who was like, we're not striping it, and then it was like the tenant needs to stripe it. It was wacky,
Yeah.
so, but Trinicap understands that it needs to be done, and then a good site plan, a sketch drawing needs to be submitted, so.
I have a question regarding the site plan.
Yeah.
Just from what I understand, the site plan was submitted. So, because of.
So this one-
This is how it actually.
It needs to be specifically, I guess, this is the form from the state. So the CEO, the zoning officer, Rich, has to make sure you checked off everything here. So
Yes.
the site plan for the whole property needs to be specific to your section because Enterprise has their use. So you may have to work, and it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be done by an engineer, but you just have to work with Rich to make sure whatever you submit in is gonna pass DMV's requirement.
Yes.
That doesn't have to be an engineered drawing.
Whatever the CEO says, yeah.
And you probably could just use the GIS.
Probably wants it better, but there was a survey, a map done, I think,
Oh.
that was already done for Enterprise that showed, I think, the site where
The
where the
whole
park.
site.
Yes, so as long as, I just wanted you to know that you need to work with Rich on that site plan.
Yeah, just speak with Mr. Shuck.
I really did with who can. Yeah, one of-
Okay, so,
Yeah,
yeah, so we
what-
don't have it, you just need to submit, not tonight, that doesn't need to be
I
tonight,
understand.
send it tonight.
I
But
have
That's
one-
all I have for comments. on
You have a question, sir?
Yes, please, I have a question. Can you go back for a little bit on the okay, I think it's a B, MVLA,
Right.
number 23.
Yeah, that's
Right,
just the
exactly.
designation of your application.
So basically, going down the line here, we can see where the wording, which is D&D complete transmission, not appear. There's no LLC here. I'm not sure what was what here. I'm not sure how to word it.
D&D complete transmission, so I have your form, hold on.
So
On
are you
this
an
one
LLC?
here-
Is that-
That is correct.
But see, it
and I'm
doesn't,
not
on this form,
sure.
when you put it, it cuts it off.
Okay,
So I don't know if when you do this for the state, I don't know if you just types it in online or something, because it cuts it off. It says D&D complete transmission and auto RE, and it doesn't finish it. That's why I didn't know if it was an LLC. So you may need to fill that out when you do a new one.
yes, so we do because, was it day before yesterday?
Yeah.
We review, this application based upon our landlord.
Yep,
And I believe that we had reached out to him for the correction.
okay.
So
Yeah,
who do we submit this to at this point?
So,
Because
so
I
what's
think-
gonna happen is the original, after, if they approve this, the original will be submitted. You can give it to me tonight if you want, and I can have the zoning officer sign it, because he has to be the one to sign it, but he's not gonna sign it though until he gets the site
The
plan.
site plan,
So you
yes.
might as well hold on to it,
Okay,
okay?
Yeah, so we're just doing an approval of the location for you, and then motor vehicles has to do the rest.
Yes, with the
Yes.
zoning and motor vehicle.
And so they won't approve your certificate until we approve the location.
exactly. Okay.
So, with all of that being said, does somebody want to make a motion to approve the, application for approval of the K7, location approval?
I'll make a motion with the condition or the condition that the property parking lot be striped and that a site plan acceptable to the zoning enforcement officer.
Any discussion? Does somebody want to, second that motion?
I'll second that motion.
There's a motion by Kathy, second by Ella, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, well, that passes unanimously, so. We've passed the approval here, you just need to get the zoning enforcement officer to finish up what he has to do and then take the rest to DMV and they've got to issue your certificate.
And what I'll do is I'll have a letter, I'll create a letter so you know that you had an approval tonight, so if there's any questions about it, so I'll send you a letter as well, okay? All right, thank
Thank you.
you.
Okay. We have an extension request for 97 Weber Farm Road, AKA Chasey Lane.
Yeah,
I never heard that before.
yeah, you do. That was the site plan that was approved 5 years ago. Pete Parent is on tonight. Pete works for the engineering firm that did the site plan. And so let me just give a little background. So it was previously the owner of the property, their condos. So their condos in the over 55 community, that's kind of tucked away. There's a total of
Going up at the top of the hill.
It's off of like Greenbrier.
Yeah.
So,
okay, yeah.
so there was the owner previously was William LeCamp Chasey Lane LLC. Then he did not move forward, that some other situations happened. And then it kind of went up for sale, but there's already 3 units that are already developed in these condos. And then it's just, so the other was 6 additional units that you approved in August, of 2000 and hold on, what's the letter out here? So this is a 5-year, so it would have been
18.
2018, yep. So the new owners who bought the development rights basically to finish this would like to have more time on this. The interesting thing is, and Pete can speak in a moment, is I had been asked that if no one does anything on it, with one of the owners in that development was like, hey, is this going to expire because they're not doing anything? Because you can't expire it, nothing's happened in 5 years. However, someone just bought it and their intention is to move forward with it. So the commission needs to decide if they want to grant an extension. The Mylars were never filed, the final drawings were never done.
How
So
did they get a permit to start the
they
construction?
never did. They never got a permit. The three were in the original in like 2010.
Oh, okay, so
approval.
they were, okay.
And then they got an approval in 2018, and then it kind of just stalled. So there was never any, so when Pete
Never
contacted
been
us.
Mylar's filed.
Oh, no, and when Pete contacted us, we had to go back and look at 5 years, back 5 years to look at what the outstanding comments were and still have them addressed, and we have yet to receive from them the final revisions of the plan, as well as the conservation easement that was on the property. It's just having been reviewed now. So it's not like everything was all ready to go and they didn't build it, like it just kind of stopped after that approval. So Pete Parent is here. He is the engineer that worked on it originally, and also on behalf of the owners, the new owners who were out of town that didn't know that they needed to be here tonight, that are asking for the extension. And I'm going to quickly read their email. Wednesday, June 7th, hi Deanna and Pete, attached, please find the updated notarized conservation easement. It was not correct, and since this time, please consider this a written request for a 5-year extension. We purchased the property in December of 2021. And due to COVID and other life changes, this has been put on the back burner, but we hope to change that very soon. We appreciate your understanding of this. If you need further information from me, please advise. Thank you, Nancy Logg and John Matson Jr. So, if you don't mind.
So, Mr. Perrin, you want to tell us what's going on?
Sure. So as Deanna mentioned, this is a development that's been, kind of in the works for quite some time. And I'll share my screen. Oh. So this is what was approved back in 2018. As Deanna mentioned, there's 3 existing units, and then the proposal was to extend the existing road and create 6 more units, similar to what was approved back in 2006. These 3 units, and then 6 more units. So it was really just kind of re-permitting what was permitted back in 2006. Back in 2018, there had been some changes to the regulations. The city's new regulations required some conservation area, which, as Deanna noted, is in the works here. This whole wetland area is being preserved. And as the new owners kind of mentioned here, they've fairly recently purchased this. Obviously, we're a little bit closer to the wire here than we all wanted to be. And what had happened back in 2018 was, we were working with Mr. Lamp. He was being representing a company, and at the time, we got the approval and the next day he sent me an email and said, hey, I've been directed to stop all work on this. Send me an invoice for your work through today and, mothball these files. And, so that's unfortunately what we had to do, even though, we had conversations with Deanna that, that kind of creates this very issue that's arisen today is that, we don't have Mylars filed and we don't have final documents filed, and we've kind of put the new owners in a bad spot. But that was the direction we were given, 5 years ago, and kind of all expected that we were never going to hear about this again until we get the call from the new owners that say, hey, we want to update our approval so that we don't lose this. So that's kind of where we're at. I can answer any technical questions you have. I'll do my best to answer any logistics questions. But like I said, we just kind of started a relationship with the new owners here. So I don't have a lot of insight onto, where they're at. Other than I do know that they did fairly recently purchase the property. They are interested in, continuing the development and would like to move forward.
Can we do an extension without the Mylars being filed?
I think you can, because it doesn't say you can't in our records or our zoning, our zoning file, or zoning regulations. I just wanted to clarify a couple of things for you too, that I did look at I spoke with the Bill Lee, our assessor today, because on the assessor's record, it doesn't clearly indicate how the land ownership is and how they bought it and what they did, because when it becomes condoized and they file those the condo documents on it, on the land records, it becomes ownership of all the different people. So technically, what I understand from Bill is there's like 9 ownerships, and they own 6 ownerships out of the 9. So the other 3. So if there is a condo board, which I don't believe there is at this point, but the owner's not here to tell me, they probably would, if they had to vote on it, the majority of the condo ownership is the person that now owns the 6 units kind
Yeah,
of thing.
normally the way the condos work is until there's a majority of the units that have been sold off and owned by others than the declarant, then the declarant remains
And-
the person in charge, basically.
Yes, and so they are the declarant now, these new owners. Now, I just want to clarify, when we reviewed this 5 years ago, there was questions about, is this an over 55? And it was like, it was never written anywhere on it, but the declaration does say this is an over 55 community. So it does say that, and so I just wanted that on the record, that's clear, because nowhere is it in the application, anywhere has it been in the past, but the declaration is for an over 55 community there, and that's what the first 3 are already in that association.
Were there special conditions attached when it was approved the second time in
From the commission,
2018 by the commission?
I can go through the conditions really quickly, the standard ones, which are,
Other than the standard ones, I mean,
so.
was there anything about over 55?
No, because we had them put it, they said it on the record, because somebody asked the question, one of the members, and it was just said during the meeting,
But
but
it
it's never
wasn't
part of the
conditioned.
application. No, I wouldn't say it's not a condition, because there's nothing in our regulations that specifically ask about it, but it was a question that was posed and answered, I think, by Pete, on the record, but it was, so it might be in the minutes somewhere, but it was never like an over 55 community on the plans or anything.
It wasn't part of the application.
I don't
No.
remember it off the top of my head, so.
But yeah, so they were the standard things, and just so you know, a special permit isn't effective until the date that the special permit is filed on the land records, and it's like a variance, so that
Okay.
hasn't expired,
But
no.
they haven't, okay, but I have a question for you. So I know, we used to have a requirement that the Mylar be filed within 90 days. Now, do we still have that?
You know, I at the top of my head, I don't know, but I don't think that necessarily is statutorily like required to do that.
No, it's not statutory.
No.
I know it isn't, but I know that they used to have it in the zoning regulation.
And I don't think it was a condition of here to be filed within 90 days. I know
But
it
it
wasn't.
would, it might not have, it might be in the zoning regulations that it have to be
We'd have to go
filed
back
within
and look.
90 days.
So and you're right, it could be in there. I don't have my regs right in front of me. It's not something that we normally push because most people do it
Do it,
because they
right.
want to move forward. this was one of these ones that I thought we were gonna be meeting this month or August and expire, to be honest with you. I was in my, this is gonna expire last every year. I said, damn, this one's, nothing's moving forward with this. So I was sort of off guard that the people came forward and wanted to move
So
forward.
when is that 5-year
The
expire?
5 years expires on the, yeah.
21st.
Yep.
Oh, okay, see right now.
And we didn't want, and so,
Hmm.
so I don't want to do it next month because it's our P O C D, and so I didn't want to put this off. So the
Yeah.
owners asked that, you know, we could table it till they come back, but that's why Pete's here tonight. I would say one of the things that we need to reevaluate the ENS bond. I think that the
Yeah.
cost of material, you know, for ENS has
Definitely.
gone up. It was a $20,570 bond. I think that needs to be recalculated if we give an extension to this approval with an updated bond. You know, there's this, other things are all the standards.
Can we require filing new Mylars? Does it make a difference?
Oh, they still have to file the Mylars. They
Yeah,
still
I
have,
mean, within a certain time.
I think that's up to you, or you could, there's nothing that says it has to, that I could find that says it has to be a 5-year extension. They're asking for a 5-year extension. You could make it less than that if you wanted to, and to see if they're really going forward. But I think if somebody put money out there recently, their intention is, but I don't know. It's
So-
hard.
so Can we just approve an extension and that?
You have to say how many year extension they're asking
For how
for,
long?
5, and I would, if you wanted to do that, that they still have to meet all the conditions of approval, including
prior approval?
yes. And because it's, you know, still, and they've updated bond for sure, erosion and sediment control. I
Okay,
mean, that's up to you guys as a commission. I know, I was surprised that they came out of the blue, but I mean, and do we want to give another 5 years when other people in the development are like, you know, they thought this was gonna be over, and I think I'm not saying it's fair to them, but they're not the majority owners, is like, oh, we kind of, you know, we're just gonna be ourselves for a little while longer. But, you know, they do have an approval. It's in the declaration that they can build. I think it said a maximum of 10 units there, and the total would be 9. I think that's what the declaration said.
not the 6 that are shown on. the
There's 6 plus the 3 that were already built.
map. That's 6 plus
So that's, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what the declaration said, but it was a quick look. It's up to you.
All right, well, I guess, you know, if somebody wants to make a motion concerning this request for an extension.
I'll make a motion to extend it for 1 year with the condition that they post a new bond and file the Mylars.
When you say post a new bond, they may give us an updated bond amount.
Updated bond amount and post the bond. And
Yeah.
um,
And comply with all the conditions of the
Right.
previous approval.
absolutely.
So the reality though, if
Is that a
it,
reasonable timeframe?
Oh, well, you know what? They can always
At this
come
point.
back.
yeah,
Yeah, they can always come back, but I
Yeah.
think we need to try to
A
move
little-
this forward.
Push a little
Yeah.
pressure on them. I think
Yeah.
that's somehow.
It's your motion, Kathy.
Yeah, I would like to see it move forward. But it's important that it's imperative that they update that bond.
so can I
Okay, so-
read back what I have just so far to extend, the motion is to extend, if for an extension for 1 year with the condition of an updated bond amount being provided. The posting of the bond, are you asking that to be posted as well?
Yes,
Posting the bond and to comply with all original conditions of approval,
right, exactly, but I have a question
And
first.
to file the Mylar.
File the Mylar.
which I think
Yes.
is one of the conditions of approval. It says here.
Let's have them file the Mylar within 90
Mylar
days.
submitted the plan, supposed to be submitted, okay, and you want that on here?
Yes, but I have a quick question. Their wetland approval, has that expired?
It would likely have expired if there's any activities within that,
Yeah.
Can
yeah.
you go back one? Because it looks like there
Yeah.
was activities within,
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah.
On the second.
August 2nd
That's when the wetland
will
approval
expire, so
expires?
they can possibly
Or
go
it
to,
does expire,
so when's your meeting in August, you know?
if they already had their.
They had the July one.
Yeah, that's the second.
All right, so we can't approve it then, in my opinion. Until they get that extension from the Wetlands Commission.
what are you feeling that the Wetlands Commission will grant their extension? What's the likelihood?
Well, but you can't,
I know, I'm just asking
Yeah.
Dan what his likelihood, if you think.
Yeah, well, it's gonna be a multiple month process at this point. Get an application and they'll table it.
they need a new application. It's not.
Well, for,
Yeah,
cause
I
it's
don't
gonna
think-
expire
Yeah. Yep. I withdraw
by
my
a
motion.
number of days.
Well, do you want Pete to address this, the engineer on the
Yeah.
project?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
Dave, do you want to say something? Have you heard the discussion?
Yes.
And do you want to address that issue about the inland wetland approval?
Yeah, I mean, I recognize that, that also is going to expire here. So, yeah, I mean, certainly if we need to apply to wetlands, as Dan kind of indicated there, based on their typical process of accepting and then acting, we wouldn't be able to get a approval prior to the expiration. So we'd basically be starting, anew on that side of things.
I have a question though. Do you think,
We can't,
can I have a question?
wait, let me just finish my question. We can't approve with a conditional approval on the inland wetlands.
No, you can't, but I have a question for Dan. I think that because it's not expired yet, they've granted extensions without having to go wait all those months, 2
Yeah.
months,
Wetlands next month's the third, the day after.
the day after they're
could you have a
expired.
special meeting?
We can try if we could get.
No,
it,
I mean, you know what I mean, it's
forum.
just to make it easier.
So
But I think then,
So since it's not expired now, can we?
we can table
grant
this.
our extension anyway, since it's not expired?
I don't feel comfortable.
I'm just.
Their wetlands it isn't
It's
expired.
expired.
Right.
I think we can.
Yeah.
Just short timeframe.
So if we extend it for a year, then inland wetlands does what they're gonna do.
But then when theirs expires, ours would expire.
I
I
don't
think-
think so. I don't think it expires just because the inland wetlands are expired.
Well, if they don't have a wetland
Approval.
approval.
They don't have a wetlands approval. It's just not gonna go forward.
Correct.
But I think Frank is accurate in the sense that it's, and both of you, it's not expired, so you could act on this tonight. I think you could, but if the Wetlands Commission doesn't approve it, it's just like anything else. If they don't have
Just
wetlands,
dies.
it's kind of like
They can't do
it's,
it.
yeah, they can't do it. So I think it kind of makes your approval moot at that point. So, I guess the anxiousness would be on their part to get,
Onus on them to.
it's onus on them to get their wetlands
Because if
extension.
if it expires here, then they gotta come back for a whole new approval. Right?
Yes, if it expires, if you
So then they
expire,
have to
If they
submit
had
a
their
whole new
wetlands,
application.
we
But we-
definitely approve it. I think if we approve it, they have a short period of time to get their, to get their wetlands.
Mhm.
I think everybody did their part going forward.
But our next meeting is before the 21st.
It is with the P O C D meeting. And we don't want anything else besides the plan of conservation development on that. I mean, you would have to have, if you wanted to have a special meeting, which is another topic on the agenda for something else, we could hit both of those up, but it would have to be, we'd probably want to do a lunch meeting, and I don't know if that works for Dean, so we could address two things.
Good doing that, I suppose.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, a Zoom
Yeah.
one. So do we want to table this to a special meeting? Okay, well, why don't we, can we table this and come back to it, so we decide on the special meeting date, then make a motion on this? Frank,
Yeah, that's
Two
fine. You
special
want to
meetings.
withdraw your motion?
Yeah, I
Bill?
withdraw my
you
motion.
gonna withdraw? No, it's
Yeah.
not gonna be two
Well,
special.
it's gonna be a wetland one.
Yeah, but that's not relevant to you guys.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're gonna withdraw that. Can we, what's the word, suspend this for a second and go on to the agenda and come back to it?
Yeah, we
Okay.
can come back to this.
All right,
It's on the agenda.
so it's suspended, okay. I'm gonna go to other business, Frank.
Yeah, do we have other business?
Yes, so that's the other issue. So last night, the council
Oh,
sent
yeah, you
a
mentioned that
referral
earlier.
to us for an item to go for probating. Hold on, at this here. $44,750,000 for the city of Norwich Police Headquarters Facility Project and authorizing the issuance of $44,750,000 in bonds to the city said appropriation and pending the issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowings for such purpose. So this would be going to referendum. So it's a referral regarding this. So we don't want to deal with this tonight. We want to do this on so you have a chance to read all this information. We can set up a special meeting and during the day and do this one and do this other one on that day too. Does that work?
That's fine with me if everybody feels that they could attend a special meeting. Yeah, that's the only issue. Ella, would you be able to make a daytime special meeting?
As long as it doesn't conflict with anything on my work schedule, I should be able to.
Yeah, and so it would be before you're going out of town because you're traveling sometime in August, right?
Correct.
So could we do it? A week from, could you do it next Tuesday, the 25th, a week from today at lunchtime?
I should be able to.
I'll be on vacation. I could try to zoom in.
Hold on.
Yeah, I'm gone too that day.
So, but
Okay.
wait a minute, why don't we do it? Can't we do it after the wetlands meeting?
We could. So do we want to do August?
But you're,
Are we
then the
gonna hold
wetlands would
special meeting?
expire.
But
That's
Yeah.
what they're asking for.
and we need it before the city council meeting.
No, regular August, no, the wetlands, because it would have to be a special meeting because it's due
Right.
When's the city council meeting on this?
the 21st of August.
Oh, so we have
Okay, so-
time.
We have
on that.
time on that for this one. So what would, I don't think we could, I don't think you have to worry about the wetlands thing. I think that's theirs, but to have to deal with.
I'm gonna tell you, I don't know if I can get a form.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
Let's worry about
But I
us.
thought the issue for Kathy was that she wanted us to act after the Inland Wetlands Act.
But inland wetlands would have to have a special meeting to do that, to be before their next meeting, and Dan's not sure he's gonna get that anyways.
So,
So
so
do you,
we're back to where we were.
Yeah.
I think we can make a motion to extend it myself since the Inland Wetlands
Still.
hasn't expired.
yeah,
And then just let Inland
Let it
Wetlands do
fly.
what they're gonna do.
All right.
all right, so in the meanwhile, though, since we're still off topic before we go back there.
Okay.
Do we wanna have a do we wanna look at this tonight, or do you want time to read this whole thing?
I do it tonight.
And you wanna act on it tonight, would you, okay,
Yeah.
so,
So we've got everybody
goes
wanting
for
to act on this
referendum.
tonight.
so
That's
let's,
fine with me.
so Frank, if we could go back to this item again now, since we're talking about Chasey, I'm gonna read the motion again. Kathy, wanna put that back on the table?
Yeah.
Okay, it's to extend the give an extension for 1 year with the condition of an updated bond amount be provided to the city, posting of that bond amount, complying with all original conditions of the approval, and that the Mylars be filed within 90 days.
Right, and that gives wetlands enough time, right?
Then it's up
And
to
it
them.
takes 30 days for wetlands.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
they would
just-
probably act.
We're not
on
gonna
it.
worry about
Yeah,
that.
yeah, No, I'm just saying the 90 days,
Yeah, as
Yeah.
far as
because the
the
Mylars, yeah.
wetlands
did
need the
expire.
Mylar to act? I think so.
No, they don't.
No, they don't, but I just want to make sure that we have enough time with the 90 days.
You want to say 180 days?
No, I want to keep it 90. I
Okay.
want to get this done, going.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay,
So
So.
that's the motion.
The motion has been
Okay.
made to approve the extension for 1 year, subject to all the conditions in the prior approval, plus filing of the Mylars within 90 days and posting of a new bond as deemed appropriate. I guess.
updated bond and then posting of it. Yep.
So that's the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Second by Ella. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that motion for the extension for 1 year
Okay,
carries unanimously.
okay. Then we go back to other,
so
which is
the-
going to be this item. So we
Yeah,
have
the
referral.
ordinance referral back to the city council. So we're just looking for here whether we find that the proposed ordinance and bonding complies with the P O C D, is that my
Mhm.
understanding of that, correct?
Mhm.
And we're just referring it back with either for approval or non-approval, and it just changes the,
Favorable or
Yeah.
unfavorable.
yeah,
Yeah.
favorable, and it just changes the voting at the city council if we don't approve it.
So the existing P O C D, I don't have in front of me, but there's always things about facilities and updating facilities. But the new P O C D that's not yet been adopted yet does talk specifically about looking at, considering, new police, facilities. It's in the new one. So this is something that has been discussed along with, the way with the new P O C D. And then again, there's a general comment in our existing P O C D.
And this will, whatever we do, or whatever city council does, this has to go to referendum anyway for a vote by the voters.
So the two, what is it, the supermajority, if we give
Yes.
a negative, is that just?
If
of
we
the
give a
city council?
negative, then it's a super majority, as I understand it, for the city
I
council
think so too.
But
to
not,
send it on for.
not for referendum, right?
The city council has to send it for the referendum.
Right, but they wouldn't need a supermajority for the,
I believe so.
They
I
would?
think so, if we
if we
don't
did it,
approve it,
okay.
if we don't
No, I was
recommend
just wondering,
approval.
yeah.
But
So it's,
Mike Driscoll would be the final answer on that.
so it's normally a favorable or unfavorable recommendation
Yeah.
regarding the referral.
And eventually, if it's, all goes through, it will go to a referendum anyway, so. So, does somebody want to make a motion regarding this ordinance to appropriate $44,750,000 for the city of Norwich Police Headquarters Facility Project and authorizing the issue of $44,750,000 of bonds in the city to meet said appropriation and pending the issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowings for such purpose.
Make a motion for a favorable approval.
Good recommendation.
So it can be sent for referendum.
So then we would be,
Yeah, I understand. I thought we had done this for something else prior.
yeah.
We
we've
do them
done
all
it.
the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
so I'm aware of the super majority necessary if we don't give it a favorable. approval.
Right.
That was my understanding.
So you have so I
So
have
we have
Dean
a
making
motion
a.
for approval by Dean.
for favorable.
Anybody want to second it?
I'll second.
Seconded by Ella. Any discussion?
I just want to offer up, a little bit of information because some of this, when I served on city council, it was in discussion then about upgrading the police headquarters because it's insufficient. Our female officers are having to change their clothes in a broom closet, it's lacking seriously. So this is a property that's definitely due for upgrade. And then looking at putting the new dispatch all under one roof. It's something, just from my experience, when the talk on this started, that it's desperately needed.
Okay.
Are there
Anything else?
Are there any locations that they're looking?
That,
In the past.
Yeah, I think they're gonna have to, look at all new locations again.
Reevaluate necessity.
So, I mean, this is just a very preliminary step
Yeah.
to the whole process. I mean, as you all probably recall, the last time this came up, the ordinance for the bond was rejected by the city, so that's why we're looking at an extra 15, I think it was $30 million last
Whatever
time,
that was done.
30 or 35, so we've gone up quite a bit.
I think that, it's definitely an outdated facility. It was outdated not too long after they built it because it was too small.
Yeah.
I need, so I have a,
So
we
we
have,
have a motion and a second,
And,
and we're still discussing.
yep, that's good.
and it's consistent with the plan of conservation and development that's upgrading a facility that is in need of being upgraded.
Okay, so we have the motion, the second, and we have the reasons set out by Kathy. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
I,
Okay, so it goes to the city council with a favorable recommendation from this commission. Is there any other business, Deanna?
POCD update, Dan, do you wanna get that? Okay.
The draft is now on planning department's webpage. There's a hard copy in the clerk's office. These come on the 15th to approve it. We have about 4 days, 5 days after that. to get a date. There are a number of blank spots in the draft where pictures, infographics, and some maps are formatted to fit in there now. So
Gonna send out an updated version before next meeting or
You
not?
can go online and look at it.
I go online. Because I looked at what you sent
It's on
out.
the website.
So, well, we gotta explain that. So what
Yeah.
happens is, once it's filed in the clerk's office, that's the official one that you're considering.
Okay.
So anything that's amendments to that are what you're going to be considering at the public hearing, just like we say, we have a revised map that stated this, or a revised memo. So that is what the public is seeing right now, but we know additional things got to be
on the
changed.
15th, you'll approve the version 1.3 with the change. That will have all that spelled out.
Yeah, so we'll have it all
We'll
spelled out.
approve it.
Yeah. Well,
You better, or else
I
we're gonna
know.
be statutory problem.
Will I be
Yeah.
able to view 1.3 before that day somewhere?
Yes, I think for
Yes.
the commission, we'll definitely have, we just not gonna be posting that on the
No, that's
website, so
fine.
it's like.
Yeah.
We will be sharing with the commission, because you're gonna be the one voting on it, saying this is draft of the version, because we have the original draft, and then we like draft and the new date, revise this day and that, because they are gonna be continuing to change some things for us, but we can't, that's not really that's not what the public will see it, but it's like, we're considering this, but we're gonna adopt it with these revisions as of this
yeah,
date.
and at this point, there'll be the text itself is pretty much set.
Yes,
Yep.
it's not
We
the
have
text
one
changes.
change that we know we want to put in the history of Norwich part. So you'll be approving the exact text that will replace what's there now, but everything else is pretty much.
And you'll
locked in.
give us a list of everything you want. Okay.
And
problem.
Dan, as we discussed earlier, is we're
Yeah, so
having another
The
POCD
POCD
meeting
committee meeting.
next Wednesday on
On
the
the
6th, if anybody wants to. attend.
So
Yeah.
that meeting is, we're taking all the tasks, remember how we have the implementation table in our existing POCD? So what we're gonna, between now and then, we'll have the implementation table, which is going to be in the appendix area at the back of the plan. And we're going to try to, with our consultant, obviously assign who those responsibilities, but we think that with the people around the table, they might go, hey, it should be this person and this also in there. We don't want to miss who should be a partner in the implementation. So that's why we're having that meeting. If that goes as planned, which we're hoping it goes really well that night,
We would cancel
for
the
the
second.
next
and
two
the ninth.
meetings, because we had two meetings, the second and the ninth, because we're getting close for the POCD committee just to like look at stuff. But if we can just cancel those and then just have the public hearing. Again, Jason Corder, who was the previous member on here, has asked to go back onto the commission, and I have really pushed, so he's being interviewed at the end of July. And supposedly the council, and if all works out well, will be appointing him on August 5th, which will mean that at that meeting, we will have the four of you, Ellis, out of the country. And I'm not gonna count on Les at this
Say
point.
that again, please.
Ella's
out of
gonna
the-
be out of the country. at the end of
Ella's gonna be out of the
15.
country, so we'd only have, right now, we only have 3 members that would be there, which is the
Oh.
minimum for quorum. And so hoping Jason gets appointed and we can get him up to speed. I sent him an email tonight, earlier before I came down here, that said, I'd like to talk to him about the POCD and the CCP, just to get him up to speed. And if he wants to come to the next couple meetings that we have of the POCD committee, to get a little bit more engaged before he gets appointed, he can come as the public and definitely come. So I'm like, I want to ask him to try to come to at least next week's meeting, you know?
Good thing you got someone to be on the commission.
I know.
Yeah, so, and we're still looking for others.
Yeah, Michael Lahan said he has a name for me and then. he didn't get it, so I know, I'm heartbroken.
All right, so, that's the POCD update. And again, as usual, I want to thank Dan for all the tremendous work that he's put into that that job.
Happy to most days.
No, he's not happy to. Don't let him lie.
It's getting happier now.
I know. He's taking some days off now lately. He's taking 2 off this week, so.
But Dan has really done a tremendous job.
He has.
And
Thank you.
put all the
That's a
effort
piece
into
of
this.
work. I read through that with private for, but it's good. I had
It's a
questions.
good piece of work, not like you're a
Yeah,
piece of
piece of-
work.
And it's good that you addressed that, you, sort of looking for ownership, because I'm reading through this, a lot of good ideas, is just who's gonna take this up and take
Mhm.
ownership and
Mhm.
be on task for it.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's good.
All right, so, any other matters?
I don't
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
My brain is fried, Dan.
Okay,
Not tonight.
all right, so with that being said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second.
Okay, we've got 2 seconds.
Yeah, pick one.
All in favor? Aye.
I.
Okay, thanks, everybody, for all your hard work and attentiveness tonight, and again, our respect and condolences for Mike Driscoll. Mike Layhan.
Oh, my God.
It's like,
Thank
excuse me,
you.
Mike.
Everyone.
Thank
Ella,
you.
where are you going?